Welcome to the Pet Loss Journals podcast. I am your host Louise. This podcast is all about the reality and impact pet loss has on our lives, and I will be discussing my personal journey through pet loss. So if you are struggling on your own pet loss journey, then this is the podcast for you. It's episode 34. Welcome back. This week is going to be a special journal entry, which I kind of teased a little bit a couple of episodes ago. And it was about Christmas. And you may have remembered what it might be about. And if you do, that's okay. And if not, you'll find out in a couple of minutes. But this one is it's a little bit of a one that I'm nervous about, and I had to think a couple of times whether to record this one. But I think I've released so many episodes now that have been extremely vulnerable that I think, what's another one? What's another episode that's gonna speak about something really vulnerable and something that, and I don't know. So I want to talk a little bit about this after I read the journal entry, really. There's no point in getting into it right now. Well, I better get going then, and I better read this one out. This journal entry is one that I wrote on the 26th of December 2021, St. Stephen's Day, the day after Christmas Day. What a day yesterday was. I finally got to do all the things I wanted to do on Christmas Day. I woke up in my own house, on my own, and I did a nice meditation. And I drove up the coast to the cliffs, which was amazing. I was the only one at the cliffs, and it was only lightly raining. I whispered to Oz and Moose and thanked them for always helping me. I felt at peace there. The cliff walk was a little busier with some people, but still nice all the same. I had a lovely short video call with my best friend, and seeing her face warmed my soul. I came home, I lit a fire. I built a mountain of cushions in front of the fire, and I watched a little bit of Netflix. I had a lovely starter, a lovely main, and a dessert for dinner. I went for a walk later that evening, and I watched a movie before going up to bed to read lots of my book, and then had an hour-long phone call with my amazing boyfriend. The day was perfect for me. I felt empowered, free, independent, peaceful and liberated. I always thought I didn't like being alone, but now I actually do. I value time alone, doing the things that make me happy and content. I am now more comfortable being alone with my thoughts. I have less anxiety. Nature heals and cleanses, and having that in my life is a blessing in itself. That is this week's journal entry. So you may gather why I may have been a little apprehensive to release or record this episode, but I said, oh well, I'm going to go ahead and do it. You might be thinking, oh my, she spent Christmas Day on her own. I can honestly say and tell you all that I've never heard of anybody spending Christmas Day on their own. I always thought it had to be about family and you couldn't be alone, and it's terribly sad if you are alone. And you know what? I've really reframed that for myself. That was one of the most memorable days that I can remember in the last few years. It was just wonderful. It was lovely, and there was no expectations. It was relaxing. Don't get me wrong, I did not go around telling family and friends what I was doing, and I'll admit I might have said I'm at this place for Christmas, and the other person I might have said, no, I'm at this place for Christmas. But look, it's what I wanted to do. And yes, I'm an advocate for telling the truth and being honest and holding boundaries. But at that stage of my life, that was a really, really difficult struggle for me because of judgment. And that was always evident in my life, unfortunately. And that's just the way things were for me. Now, thank God, I can express my needs and be honest with how I feel about going to certain things, doing certain things, so on and so forth. But back then in 2021, I would be eaten alive, eaten up with the fear of what will they say, the judgment, the shame behind it. So, yeah, I told my best friend and I told my boyfriend, and that was it. And it was amazing. The day was amazing. That was one of the days that I felt probably the closest I've ever felt to the dogs, because I was thinking about them a lot and I was trying to connect with them a lot, and I did. And I wrote to them and I whispered to them, like I said, on the cliffs. And sometimes when I'm outside or on my own in nature, I'll get like this big gust of wind will just come out of nowhere. And like it would be a really calm day. And I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but that happened to me that day up in the cliffs, and it was just it kind of just made my eyes water, because it was like, is this you trying to tell me that you're here, or is it the wind trying to give me a hug? Is it the dogs trying to hug me through the wind? And I know that sounds a bit la or whatever, but I mean, that's how I felt. And if that's what brings me comfort and closeness to my dogs, then amazing. And if you have something that does the same for you, equally amazing. That's good. Ever since I've started recording this particular episode, I've been looking out the window, and there's been a little robin out there very close to the window, just hopping around. So it's just, these are the things that I look at that bring me comfort, fill my heart, just fills up my heart to see that the robins are nearby, my dogs are nearby, they're close to me, they're helping me record these episodes. For all of you that are listening, they're helping me to release episodes like this, where these are things that I haven't said to the closest people in my life, and I'm now saying them to people that I've never met in my life, but I feel comfortable doing so, and I feel that it's important to do that. Why do I feel shame behind this is what is important to talk about, really. we often put our needs not ahead of other people's. So what I meant to say was our needs come kind of last down the list. When I hear this all the time when I speak to people about their pet loss grief, and once they start working on their grief and doing their personal grief work, they start to come up that list. So their needs become more important, and it doesn't just reach like their direct family. It goes further than that. So it will go out as far as career, employers, acquaintances. It would go like their health, and it would just go out and out, and their needs would go up to the top of the list, where they should be. And okay, I totally understand that there are people listening that have kids that they need to look after, and maybe elderly parents that they're looking after, or all of those scenarios, and I totally get it. But at the same time, if your mental health isn't a priority and is really down the list, how can you expect to be able to look after your family's needs, your kids' needs? And I know that you might have heard that saying so much, but I mean, it's factual. It's actually true. It's absolute fact. So, really, the fact that I share this is to show you that you can do this. You can do the things that you want to do. And if I was to redo this again this year, I wouldn't give excuses to people as to where I was for Christmas. In a few episodes ago, I said, if people ask you what you're doing, it's like, oh, I already have plans. You do already have plans. You don't have to make up a lie. You don't have to fabricate a story. And you have plans with yourself, which are the best kind of plans. I love plans with myself. I love just making plans with myself. It's just such a way to give yourself self-compassion, self-love. You deserve it. You're always giving to your job, your family, your relationships, and to give to yourself is a gift that is amazing. A lot of my clients will always, and they will say, yes, Louise, they'll always hear me say, you have gifted yourself this 6-week grief recovery program. You have. This is a gift to yourself. You're putting yourself up the list. You're making yourself a priority. You're making your recovery from this awful, traumatic, heartbreaking loss event a priority in your life. And that is a gift that is incredible. A gift to yourself. So, I mean, there you go. So I gifted myself that day that many people feel run ragged. They feel under pressure. They feel financially under pressure. They feel exhausted, hungover. I don't know. The list, for me, that list goes on and on and on. But imagine having a day to yourself, and you don't have to do this on Christmas Day. Imagine you having a Louise Christmas Day, but that's unique to you, on whatever day of the year you like. Whatever day you like, go. Organise it, plan it. I urge you to do that. Especially if it's something that you feel could really help you when you're dealing with your pet loss grief. It doesn't even have to be about that. It can just be about you showing yourself some love and gifting yourself one full day. Put the phone on airplane mode. Turn it off. Tell people, All right, okay, tell the people closest to you in case they're looking for you. I'm just having a day to myself. The phone won't be on. Simple as that. Gift yourself that day. Plan it out. Or don't plan it out. So what? Go with the flow. Wake up in the morning and see what happens. Hop in the car, go out for a walk, go somewhere amazing. Whether that's an hour away, whether that's 10 minutes away, who cares? So, the way that I felt, which I clearly listed in this journal entry, was I felt empowered, free, independent, peaceful, liberated. Wow. I don't remember writing those words, but when I read them back now, it sends me back to that day, and I remember feeling those things. I do. And I didn't just write them for the fun of it. I wrote them because it was the truth. Imagine feeling all of those emotions in one day. Independent, empowered, free, peaceful, liberated. Empowered is maybe one of my favourites from that list. I went ahead and did something that I wanted to do alone on Christmas Day, one of the days of the year that you would be most judged out of all of the days in the year of what you want to do. So that is probably the only day in the year that you could possibly receive the most judgment for being on your own. So I have no regrets. I have no sadness about doing that. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I wanted to be alone. I wanted to have a day to myself. That's what I wanted. It's not that, and look, I totally understand that some people don't have a choice and that they are alone on Christmas Day. And God, this is not what this episode is about. Please hear me when I say that. Because it can be a sensitive subject. Some people don't want to be alone on Christmas and they end up being alone. Or some people have to work all of Christmas Day and they don't have a choice to be with their family. So there's so many different scenarios. But this isn't me overshadowing that or belittling that or anything. This is just me sharing my particular story. Mostly because I wanted to honour the memory of my pets. I wanted to spend time in nature. I wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. A day just to myself. A day that I knew that all of the country would be tucked away in their houses, celebrating with their families, and I could just go under the radar and do whatever I wanted to do. And for me, that was what was amazing and what was important here. And for me, feeling free and independent and empowered, what a Christmas gift to myself, What a Christmas gift to myself. But you could give yourself that gift any day of the year. You really, really could. Whether you plan it or whether you just go with the flow when you wake up. I definitely feel right now a lot less anxious than I did at the beginning of the podcast, sharing my Christmas Day, my Louise Christmas Day, basically, as I call it in my head. But I do hope that by sharing this helps you to see that you can value your time alone, and that you can be comfortable with your thoughts alone, and you can feel some of those things. You can feel the things that are individual to you. It's possible to get to that stage, and judgment from others is merely a reflection on themselves. not on you. So letting go of the fear of judgment is something that, yes, God, it is so difficult. Definitely. But how empowering, how liberating, how freeing that independence of being able to let go of that fear of judgment. And letting go of some of that shame behind it. But thank you for listening to this week's very special episode. Please share your thoughts. They're always welcome. My contact details are below in the show notes. Also, I delve into quite a lot over on my Patreon. If that is something that you're interested in, particularly hearing more about really a deep dive, the most common questions that my clients ask me in my pet loss grief support sessions. That's something that I went into in an hour-long podcast over on my Patreon. Also, I have a video up of myself doing another bonus episode and a few other bits and pieces which are interesting. If that's something that you would like to listen to, some bonus content, fly on over there to Patreon. The link is always below in the show notes as well. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this week's episode. Remember, your pet loss grief is real and it is so valid. Please be gentle on yourself. Until next time, take care.